Hello. Welcome to, I was going to say the anniversary podcast, but it has officially been 1 year since I've started this podcast. And while this may not be a very traditional thing to discuss, I just want to take a moment to thank all of you. When I first started this journey of supporting humans and parents and honestly children without even ever meeting them, I never knew that it would turn into this. Like I never knew, we just had our 1 year anniversary, had this little like banner pop up. And it was like, congratulations, it's your 1 year anniversary of your podcast. In the little platform thing we use to post all of our stuff and have them go live. Over 250,000 of you have somehow streamed or listened or all the different things to this podcast in some form or another from wherever you're listening from. And I now have over 500,000 followers on Instagram, which I'm not big on numbers. It doesn't really do much for me. Let's call it ego-wise, if you will. I think it's very important to release that portion of a business. But this has been such a wild ride and wild journey. I was a one-woman show when I first started this, and I bought stringing lights, the twinkle lights in the backyard that everyone and their grandmother has now in their backyard. I bought them from Lowe's or, I don't know, Sam's or Costco or somewhere. It was another COVID project. And that was my first desk. Like, no joke. I have video of and a time lapse of me sitting with my computer on that box in my bedroom, sitting on a yoga mat with Jacques, my bigger dog, laying next to me. And then I would lay on top of him and then I'd sit up. And then I did it all. I was doing every single portion of this business. And I did it because I had a dream and I had a drive. And there is something, I think it's the justice part of me. I was like, no, damn it. Like, people need to know this information. And it just pisses me off that people don't. And it was such a fire under me of like, I can see how this has helped my family so much that when I started this, I was so ready to get back out into the business world. And I had taken, I don't know, a year and a half off after I sold my first company, which was a freestanding clinic in New Orleans. And I sold it when I moved here to Texas. And I took some time to really figure out, like I said, like what went wrong with the business, what went right, what I felt I had strengths in, what my weaknesses were, the things I liked doing, the things I didn't like doing. And I also really took some time to transition the kids here and get settled and take care of John. And then it was like a snowball of one thing after another. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm totally ready. And I had a brick and mortar, and I knew that I didn't want a brick and mortar again. I knew all the things that came along with a brick and mortar. And I had started learning, if you will, and just kind of dabbling and like learning about social media to figure out, okay, if I want people to know that this is out there and that this information is out there, this would be the best way and the most convenient way for me to do it. And so I started honestly learning. The first thing of course, I've gotten coaches and I've gotten people to help me learn all the different angles inside of the business and the business that I own at this point, right? But honestly, I started on YouTube, like how to figure out how to build a business and market through social media. And the best advice I got was on YouTube, and it was, stop trying to get followers. Just trust your content and just be consistent. And that's what I've done. I've trusted myself and I've trusted the knowledge and the information that I'm giving you. And while it's taken years, if you're in this industry or you're wanting to build something, just know that it, like, Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, this has taken years. But I cannot say this enough. And hopefully you have heard me say this in one form or another, whether it's on my page or here on the podcast. When someone chooses to take the time out of their day, whether it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, even meet with me on a call, if you are choosing to trust me and you're choosing to trust the knowledge that I'm offering to you, I cannot tell you the immense honor that I feel when you allow me to be the guide, if you will, of this information. I don't take that lightly. I put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure that I am giving you the best of the best in terms of truthful, honest, sometimes wildly blunt, but it's because I care. Like that's the root for me, is I care so incredibly much. And it's not simply because of mental health and Jonathan and hoping that others don't go down the journey and road that Jonathan, that he ultimately went. But I believe it is your given right to understand how your brain works. And I get so wildly frustrated at the fact that this is not in our education system and that this is not something that's just like, duh, like, of course we all should understand this. You know, we have like the basics in college and the basics in high school of like the core, whatever it's called, that you need to learn. Why the hell isn't a little tiny bit of neurology in there to be like, hey, how does my engine work? Like, can you tell me before I start trying to drive a damn tractor? Like, we should understand this information. And it frustrates me that most don't, and most are in such a immediacy culture that they're running towards a goal or a dream or a lifestyle, but never understanding truly if that is something internally their system really craves, like if that's going to bring you happiness at the end of the day. And I am so grateful that you have chosen to trust me. I can't thank you enough for your love and support for myself and my family and my children. It wasn't very easy to open up, especially about Jonathan. It took me a year, if not a year and a half. And I waited, of course. Eli still doesn't know, but Charlie knows. But I waited to open up until he knew first. I felt like that was out of respect for him. And you have supported me all along the way and loved me and cared for me and trusted me. Like that, like, I know I keep going back to trust, but that is the most important, biggest thing for me that I cannot thank you enough for. And despite all of the reasons that I do what I do, and despite my why of, I feel that you have the right to understand this information and really have good knowledge on how your brain functions and how your children's brain functions and what would support you into mental health and what would support your brain into mental health, and really diving deep and understanding this information. Like I said, this may sound a little odd, but at the end of the day, yes, I have built this business, but your trust, belief, and willingness to even pay for services from me or buy an on-demand course or everything you do to support us has led to being able to support 10 lives. At this point, we have a staff of 10, and most of us have children. We've had 2 engagements. I'm sure we're going to have another one. I'm not saying anything more, but I'm sure we will. But you have allowed us to be able to keep our own lights on, if you will, and support our children and be able to be there in the way that we want for our own lives. And it's because of you. And I don't know if many step from behind the business and talk about that, I guess, financial piece, if you will, of like, you have helped support our families and we are forever grateful. And me being a solo parent, supporting 2 little boys, like I can't thank you enough for trusting me. And that's probably one of the reasons why I push so hard to make sure that this is done the correct way. Because number 1, it has to be. Number 2, you're worth it to have the honest truth. Number 3, I don't want you paying for something if it's not going to be worth it. And number 4, I want to be proud of the work that I'm doing, and I want to be supportive to you. Like, I want this to be of benefit. I don't want you to buy a damn thing if it doesn't help you. Like, what's the point? We're all working our ass off. We're all working hard to create and build the lives that we want. And so thank you. Thank you for supporting the team. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for loving us. And thank you for listening. And to many more things to come. Hopefully I'll get to meet some of you in person one day. That's on the agenda. Book, that's on the agenda. Retreats, that's on the agenda. But just be patient, I promise. It's coming. But thank you. Thank you for loving us, and we will continue supporting you back. And hooray for 1 year. And until next time, take care of yourself. I kind of feel like Ellen DeGeneres when I say that. I'm like, and until next time, what does she say? Like, be good to, well, she's not on the show anymore. But anyway, please take care of yourself. And I really mean that. XOXO, Dr. B.